Humble air rifle, just a toy or a tool that needs to be included in your preparedness toolbox. Let's discuss it. Now, it's pretty easy to write these things off as toys, and I get it, and they're fun toys to play with. I bought both of my kids one when they were very young, and I've got one that's a little bit better. But as far as a preparedness tool that needs to be in your toolbox, nothing can be overstated about the fact that actual reps and sets, pulling the trigger on something and making a hole in another object, is the absolute best target practice you can ever get. Ammunition's expensive. This is an easy way to save a ton of money on ammo. Yes, it's not the same as practicing with your AR. It's not the same as getting out there and shooting a 22, but the reps and sets and practice put in still make a difference. For just a few pennies, you can sit and shoot a couple hundred rounds almost every single day, even if you live inside the city. Local laws and ordinances, and even if you live out in the country per se, disagreeable neighbors, maybe livestock, there's plenty of reasons why a lot of us just can't really justify being able to get out and shoot a real, firearm with live ammunition on an almost daily basis. And being able to take a pellet rifle, step out in your backyard, have a little bit of fun with your kids, that can't be overstated. They're also a wonderful way to introduce children into the hobby of gun ownership. And that right there, friends, is the key to saving our Second Amendment. So other than the obvious things, what are some other reasons why an air rifle might be perfect for very specific needs? Consider it for pest control. It's pretty common to have, a rabbit or a squirrel problem. Maybe in your suburban yard, to get in your bird feeder, or something is just messing with your garden. It's a whole lot easier, faster, cheaper, and honestly more convenient to just take a pellet rifle, run out there and clip that thing in, one quick shot that's quiet, nobody knows it happened, and the problem's solved. And on this new piece of property, we've got a few prairie dogs that have been trying to come in and get over on our property, our land that we own. Now, I can go out there with a shotgun or a 22 just fine, but it just makes a whole lot less noise, doesn't stir the dogs up, doesn't disturb everybody in the house. To just walk out there, if I see one, and just being able to literally step out the front door, crack the back door, poke it out the kitchen window, and pop one, not even go outside, and go ahead and dispatch that animal right then and there, is incredibly useful. There's even been times in a previous life of mine, I lived in a house that wasn't the greatest. It was the first home that I ever bought. I was 21 years old and had a really big problem with mice coming in whenever I very first moved into that house. I would actually just shoot those guys with a BB gun. It doesn't even have to be a really nice pellet gun. A typical, inexpensive, $35 BB gun from Walmart or wherever you're at, as long as it's an actual air rifle and not an airsoft gun, they all pretty much do the same thing. Now, how about a more serious use of it? Why is it part of a preparedness toolbox? We all know that target practice and pest control, that's obvious. You don't have to be in the preparedness mindset to recognize that utility. So now we look at something like, how would we feed ourselves? And make no mistake, given the time, patience, practice, you can absolutely feed yourself with an air rifle. And it has certain benefits as well, such as, noise, sound, over penetration, attracting attention to where you're at that you may or may not want, right? This is something that, given the correct situation and times are needed, you could even go around in an urban environment and absolutely provide food for your family with just an air rifle. You can suppress a 22 all you want, but you're accountable for every one of those little 22 rounds, and they're going to go straight through the little bird sitting on a tree or a power line that you're wanting to use for food. An air rifle will never be as good as a 22 for a rabbit, but make no mistake, it can be done. Ask any 12-year-old farm kid, and he'll tell you just a cheap BB gun can absolutely provide meat for your family each and every day. Am I saying that you need to ditch all your other guns and start carrying an air rifle and that needs to be your main survival firearm? Absolutely not. A 12 gauge shotgun and a 22, bar none, irreplaceable, absolutely put meat on your table every single day. But that doesn't take away from the fact that the air rifle still has a spot, especially given certain environments where you may not want to be noticed. Now let's move a little bit further beyond that, right? We're talking about a collapse of society, perhaps a tyrannical type situation. Using your imagination, you could probably come up with a scenario where a certain light may need to be turned off. A particular camera could possibly not be beneficial. And using your air rifle as an on-off switch, or well, specifically an off switch for some of those lights, cameras, and other things could be invaluable in its utility purposes. Nobody's going to hear it, it's quiet, it's not going to cause as much collateral damage as, say, a suppressed 22. And let's be honest, how many of the average person have actually gone through the hoops that it takes to get a suppressor for a 22 anyway? Look at that. Two helicopters. Other than that, there's really not a whole lot to add. But yeah, you absolutely do need an air gun in your toolbox. Just, if nothing else, they're a whole lot of fun. You can get out there with the kids. It's January today, beautiful outside. It's like 60 degrees today. So I may just go ahead and grab my son and have him come on out. We're just going to stand outside and shoot BB guns the rest of the day. Well, anyway, until next time, you be safe.